Welcome to Iowa, and to start, we're going to do a double feature in Marshalltown, starting with a look at a mall that's been in a rough way for quite some time. Even at its worst, I still enjoy the more old school look about it, but since it's now apparently closed, let's get a proper look at the Marshalltown Mall one more time. Many of my notes come from archived newspapers of the area, and I even let Sea-Dog cross-check some of it. Originally under the name Marshalltown Plaza Shopping Center, the mall would officially open on August 3, 1972, having been developed by Martin, Matthew, and Maurice Buxbaum, who were originally locals to this particular town, as well as the figureheads of General Growth Properties at the time. 350,000 square feet of climate-controlled shopping would await the town, featuring Woolco, Walgreens, Sears, and Younkers as original anchors, with 45 inline tenants to boot. Just to name a few of them, they would include Coach House Gifts, Commercial State Bank, Kinney Shoes, Caramel Corn, Baskin Robbins, Acme Piano and Organ, and Toy Fair. It would even feature a cinema by Iowa Family Theaters. Upon opening, a ribbon-cutting ceremony would be hosted by the Buxbaums, Carol Paul, the Marshalltown mayor, and the executive secretary of the Chamber of Commerce, William Pepper, among other prominent figures. And over its early years, the Marshalltown Mall would see many a community event hosted in its halls, between antique shows, coin shows, a moon rock display in 1973, and even a throwback event in 1987 titled Cruise into the 40s, that featured performances by the John Morgan Orchestra and casino games, among other events. And as the mall gained traction, it would even see JCPenney arrive to the scene in 1977, though I was unable to find a specific opening date. To change topics, in December 1984, an electrical fire would break out due to an electrical fault in a service box at Sears, with 5 being treated for hazardous smoke inhalation after a technician for Anderson Electric put the fire out. The cause of the fault was determined to be a water leak. Fortunately, this was just a minor incident and the 5 victims would return to their lives quickly enough. Ownership is a interesting thing to track, with GGP letting go of the mall early on. In 1989, the Rouse Company would purchase the Marshalltown Mall, along with 5 others in the state. They would then rename the mall to the Marshalltown Center. Fast forward to 2004, and the mall would be purchased by GK Development, and around this time, the mall's main anchors were JCPenney, Big Lots, Younkers, and Menards. Menards would have come into the picture in 1992 to replace a vacated Walmart. And when did Walmart show up? Back in 1983 to replace Woolco, which basically went belly up that year. Sears, interestingly enough, would have vacated the mall, specific date unknown, and they would have been replaced by Big Lots. Actually, let's do one more lap. Over the 2000s, the mall would end up stagnating and would over time begin to lose tenants, with Big Lots being one such casualty. Walgreens was also gone, and the Big Lots space would remain vacant for the longest time before Planet Fitness would fill in the void in the mid to late 2010s. Menards also left the mall to be replaced by Hobby Lobby over the early 2010s. You'll have to pardon the vagueness, but it is difficult to find articles around this time outlining what was happening. It's also difficult to parse what killed the Marshalltown Mall, as Marshalltown proper seems to be a pretty decent place. Perhaps it was a combination of redundancy, the internet, and Walmart. Chances are, people here were shopping either online or at Walmart, or if they did want the mall experience, they were going to Des Moines or even Waterloo and Cedar Falls, all an hour away. Even Ames has a proper mall that's in better shape to this day, which might see its day on its channel. Now, while a few tenants did come in to try and make things work in the 2010s, the mall was losing tenants faster than it could replace them. And in 2020, Kohan Retail Investment Group would purchase the mall by auction for the low price of $2.3 million. Bargain bin stuff. Yonkers would have already closed in 2018 as the parent company, Bon-Ton, went under, while JCPenney would close its doors for the last time in mid to late 2020. Though the mall would weather a major derecho that bombarded Marshalltown. And as the next few years rolled in, some of the news outlets local to the area would highlight Kohan's checkered past, and how the head of the company talks a big game about revitalizing or repurposing some of these malls, and while I have seen attempts at that myself, there's almost always a disaster that strikes, or is about to. Enter the end of 2023, and the mall would see its power cut as Kohan failed to keep up with bills. And as the code violations piled up, the owner was threatened with contempt of court in July 2024. Additionally, the remaining tenants inside, with a few exceptions, would find themselves forced to move if they wanted to keep their business going. Even a call center at the mall ceased in-house operations and moved their employees to remote work. Only outward-facing businesses remain on the mall property, while the Marshalltown Mall itself seems doomed to an end in legal hell. Mama DeGrado's Pizza and Pasta and the movie theater are still open, however, alongside Planet Fitness and Hobby Lobby. So there is that. While the tour of Marshalltown Mall is done, we're not quite done yet in Marshalltown proper. Let's go a few miles up the street and have a look at a place called Meadow Lane Mall. This one is gonna be a case of blink and you'll miss it, but even here, I still find some interest. So say hello to the Meadow Lane Mall. Unfortunately, my attempts to research hit a dead end, as the mall just didn't come up very often in the newspapers. So this is something that's more shrouded in mystery for me. While some say that the Meadow Lane Mall first started in 1965, the earliest mention I can find of the Meadow Lane Mall in the paper is 1970, with Montgomery Ward set to open a new store at the Meadow Lane Shopping Center, as it was called. Kmart and Hy-Vee were also established at the mall, with Kmart being the more prominent anchor. However, that was all I could really find for Montgomery Ward, leading me to presume that it was a very short-lived store. Information about this particular mall is rather dry on the internet, even with newspaper archives and my desperation to turn to AI. But it wouldn't be too far-fetched to presume that Meadow Lane Mall was always stuck in the shadow of the Marshalltown Mall. Though given the fact that this is just a tiny L-shaped corridor, perhaps being able to sustain itself off of outward-facing tenants allowed it to cling on all the way to now. Hy-Vee appeared to have intentions to depart the mall sometime in the mid-90s, wanting to build a larger supermarket north by Lynn Creek and Anson Street. However, the owners pushed back against this in '91, which resulted in a strange legal battle, with the owners going as far as to purchase land at the future site to block construction. While the store was built up anyway, it seems that Hy-Vee remained at the mall as a drugstore all the way up to 2020. The mall itself would continue to decline, seeing some tenants come and go as it continued to empty out, and Kmart would finally shut its doors over summer 2017. However, in a strange way, this mall still managed to outlive its rival South as it finds alternative uses. Kmart would get replaced by a U-Haul center, a flooring store would set up shop, and while the north side would see more turnover, it still houses a sports and gymnastics center. Allegedly. It didn't seem occupied when I was there. But one reason I do see to come here, and you might have seen me point it out, is El Portal. It might not be the best Mexican food out there, but when you're in the mood for Taco Tuesday on Wednesday, you can't go wrong with those guys. They don't pay me to say that. Until next time, Marshalltown, Iowa, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and your local malls farewell.